Good afternoon. We'll just give 30 more seconds, I guess, just to be done on time, but we're good to start. So yeah, it's the first day, so I'm sure you're going to stick around and have fun with all the beauty and personal care products. So great, let's begin. Um, Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amna Abbas. I am a consultant for beauty, health, and fashion at Euromonitor International. Today, we are going to speak about a very important yet interesting topic because, of course, it covers the Middle East and North African markets within beauty and personal care. But there is also like a theme highlight, which is health and beauty in sync, which brings a very interesting angle to what's happening globally, but also locally. So to go forward, just to give a little introduction, I am based in the Dubai office. So Euromonitor has more than 16 offices all around the world, and the Dubai office is based in Dubai Silicon Oasis. We have also syndicated and customized research. So a lot of the things that I'll be speaking around over here would be from our annual research, which is getting updated on a more and more frequent basis as we live in very dynamic times. So some of the things that I will be covering is already present within our reports, and just to say that the things that I have picked up, the trends, the highlights, the numbers, the figures that I've picked up are primarily from beauty and personal care, consumer health, and even consumer and economy database. So it does also highlight population, income, and expenditure, and things like that. So, and you will see as we go around where's where, who's where. So yeah, jumping onto the agenda for the day, I will be going to highlight what's the key happenings within the global market within beauty and personal care. And then I'm going to focus on the region. After that, I'm going to see what are the key themes, of course, looking at the broader theme of health and beauty, but also what are the key trends that's coming in towards it, and followed by some really interesting case study stories, and finally, of course, where are we heading towards? So let's jump onto the topic. It's been a very interesting year, last few years actually. I mean, we all have been through a very interesting phase of COVID-19, the pandemic, of course, and I'm sure a lot of us were never taught in university what to do in terms of a pandemic or what is going to happen. But this kind of disruption, this kind of change has led to challenges and opportunities. And the bounce back we see globally has been tremendously very solid for beauty and personal care industry. We see the global industry has not only recovered, but beyond recovered. There is growth, and there is on top of that, there is further growth as well. And we see the market standing at USD 530 billion globally in 2021, and that represents a 7% growth in current terms for the present year as well. And we see a similar growth trajectory going toward the forecast period also. So it looks very optimistic, and that's great to know. Furthermore, if that's in not only terms of value RSP, but also volume. So we see that there's a lot of innovation, a lot of disruption, a lot of new things happening, and it all focuses on where the industry is going, and that's definitely a very much positive thing to see, which is great. Looking at the Middle East and Africa region, we see that the MEA market is one of the fastest growing when you compare to rest of the region. So that's great news because this region is expected to grow the fastest from all around the world when you compare other regions such as Europe or America or Australia. MEA is expected to grow fastest. And of course, the market size at retail RSP is USD 36 billion at the moment. This is mass plus premium growth compared at 15% for beauty and personal growth in 2021. If I narrow down this further, I see premium products are also accelerating the growth much further, which is very interesting to see. And we will see what's the trends or reasons behind it. So we can see much stronger growth coming in also later on, which could also be more around 20%, 30% for some products versus others. So this is like an averaged out 15%, but I was also seeing some growth to reach up to 25 to 35%, which is brilliant for the industry. And similar growth trajectory for the forecast period as well is expected to stay strong at 11% if you look at it in current terms, but 4% if you strip out the effect of inflation. So that's one thing that's observed. We also see the major categories to remain to be hair care, fragrances, skin care, bath and shower. And this kind of a trend does come in. You will see the reasoning behind it later. But we saw a very strong jump back for fragrances because of the cultural significance in the region. So some of the things are very much ingrained into the culture, so that we see Arabian fragrances, the fusion with it with the Western fragrances, the hybrid versions of it as well. So innovation in fragrances is something that I'm going to speak about later on, but that's like a very interesting thing to note, because we have things like testing without smelling kind of formulations or methods also appearing in as part of innovation. We see also clean, vegan formats also coming up in fragrances. We see that, of course, the pure format of oil, so beyond eau de toilette, we see also eau de perfume or greater strength or purity formats coming in. So a lot happening in the market for this also, which is quite interesting. So yeah, bath and shower, hair care, and even skincare, I'm going to touch on this later as well to weave my story. So let's go ahead. Then when we look at the spotlight of what's happening with the region, of course, we see Saudi and UAE stand out as the market, but we also see a lot of growth coming on from other regions as well, like let's say Egypt or Qatar, for example. And I think the key note over here to observe is what is happening on 3 layers, which I've put over here the pillars of strength. So I've divided this into 3, which is government, consumers, and businesses. So it's a very interesting play that's happening in the market, where we see some of the reason why this is growing up so solidly as a market compared to the rest of the world. Of course, a couple of us must have visited Expo 2020, or we all might have heard of NEOM, and we might be cheered up for Qatar football for those who play football or are interested in watching the games. And I think a lot of this has been like, yeah. So a lot of this is to also government encouragement of having the ensuring security and safety, higher focus on the cleanliness aspect, to making sure that there's a healthy playground when people are coming in. Opening up to people, of course, consumers are very important. If you have people coming in and feel safe, secure, and beyond, then definitely that's a very good playground for playing in. So we see the government getting into the events, we getting into events, relaxation of tourism and visas, or an update or a revamp. So that's some of the factors that comes into the place. At the same time, consumers are doing self-investment in health. So health is considered as a self-investment. So people are more into products and services that make sure that they're healthy and beautiful, why not, for the longer term. So this is a trend that comes on where there are satisfying needs and wants, focusing on prevention beyond illness. I think this is a very interesting thing to observe, and how markets are going to be even revamped in the future with preconditions, whether it's something like a dermatological visit for dandruff control, and then going towards buying products that just keeps your dandruff at bay. It could be something simple as that. And keeping your skin healthy, because a healthy skin applied anything on, it makes it just more, like it tells, if you're a healthy person, it just shows, it's part of your personality. So things like this is coming up around on the focus of consumers as well. And businesses are really listening, because they know in order to be dynamic with the time and growth oriented, they're really observing, listening. And this is kind of like a success story in a way if these three pillars are looked into in a holistic way. And that's really important, and that's something that we observe really much happening in these countries and in the region as well. So moving forward, who are our consumers in the region nowadays? I think this is also a very interesting element. I mean, nothing might be rocket science, but it's very important to pay attention to the simple things. So, and at the end of the day, it matters of someone how simple you make the story, even when it's complicated. So that's where data comes in. That's where graphs and charts come in. So what we observe, this is the Generation Z as share of total population in 2022. And when we clubbed up the statistics, when we put it into charts, we saw that Middle East and Africa has a lot of Gen Zs, a lot of young consumers who are growing up. So I feel as a millennial, next stage is on, but yes, we have to think about where this trend is also going, right? All the millennials, I think a lot of us are millennials in this room. It's like Gen Zs and alphas are coming now. What do we expect from the world? So some of our figures tell you what we expect from the world. And in terms of perceptions of beauty or what we expect from the world, a lot of these things even make sense for me. And it's about, the thing that really stood out for me was looking healthy. I think a lot of our products, beauty products, grooming products, will revolve around looking healthy. Because if you don't look healthy, then anything else would just be like a default struggle, I would say, you know. So looking healthy, being comfortable in your own skin, inner confidence, and hygiene and cleanliness. According to World Health Organization, basic right to cleanliness and hygiene is really important. And we don't realize that a lot of these things are done by beauty and personal care products. Your bath and shower products. You can, of course, clean surfaces, but your own surface is your skin. So these are very important points or factors that Gen Zs are realizing, or tell millennials maybe, hey, mom and dad, I'm just getting on, but I need this product. So yeah, but that apart, of course, these things are coming into the picture, and I guess we would all relate at embracing yourself nowadays, good oral health care hygiene. There's innovation happening in oral care as well, which is very interesting to see. Of course, looking presentable, simplicity, honesty, these things are what appeared according to our beauty survey, which was fielded on an annual basis. So this one is done in July 2021. So moving forward, we need to understand consumers, and we also need to understand macroeconomic factors. Nothing is magic, but a little bit of magic everywhere is definitely worth it. So this is something that we observe. Facts and magic together is wonderful. So I looked at three perspectives over here, which I thought was really interesting, all right? The little chart on the top shows the GDP versus inflation growth of the region, and we've seen countries like UAE or even Saudi reaching almost like 7% in terms of GDP growth. It was very interesting to see. A lot of you might have heard about the hype that's going in UAE and Saudi, and that seems trickled down in numbers also when you look at GDP growth or such factors. Additionally, of course, we might have all heard of the golden visa, the 5-year tourist multiple entry visa in the UAE. We might have heard of Qatar and Saudi and Oman doing really easy tourist visa entries, preparing for the FIFA World Cup, for example. So all of these things are also leading to, of course, Gen Zs being there, but at the same time, having entries of millionaires into the country. Now, just FYI, like according to Euromonitor, we have our income and wealth distribution model. So the millionaires over here are just the affluent individuals with a net wealth exceeding 1 million and below 5 million. So if you would include billionaires, ultra high net worth individuals, or even high net worth individuals, this figure of 75,100 would go further up to almost like 90,000, you know? So this figure is just millionaires in US dollar, but then if you combine them into like billionaires or in AED, if you would do it, then this figure could reach up to 90,000 in UAE, the number of millionaires that's there. So it's going to keep on increasing because of course, various factors, including government encouragement. And we see something very similar in even Saudi. The number of millionaires are also expected to increase, and the high net worth individuals and ultra high net worth individuals are also going to increase. I think this kind of also translates into beauty and personal care, in the sense we do have of course, our traditional products, which is available in the store, but a lot coming in through cosmetic clinics or the gray area or within the healthcare industry. We see is there an announcement? No, okay. So yeah, let's wait for this. Oh, wait. Okay, let's resume. Okay, fine. So we see as the number of millionaires and beyond are increasing, we also see a greater number of clinics, cosmetic clinics, beauty and personal care retailers also coming into the market. We see more kind of products and services in the sense that, you know, it could be related to hydra facials, or the gray area where you go to a clinic and have your facials, which would not be a salon level just peeling, but then derma peeling, more deeper level. So we see these kind of formats also appearing more and more, and it's all part of innovation, more services and products being available, and it's I think a great time to get into this also, as more people are entering into the country, and we have a revamp of the macroeconomic factors also happening. So moving forward again, so what's happening? I mentioned about health and beauty in sync a bit before, but why is it that I mentioned this? And I think a lot of us might have heard, when we think about beauty, we also might have seamlessly heard about health at some point as well. I've put it into a honeycomb format, but why not? Honey is also very healthy. There's Manuka honey, there's all sorts of honey from every mountain, having their own antibacterial properties, moisturizing properties, why not? So many of them used in beauty and health as well. So in that perspective, I've put over here into 6 boxes. And I think the number one most important thing that we have to realize, and this is a trend that we also observe globally and coming locally, is the stress level that we have all had over here. Maybe 2019, 2018, a person dealt with 1 to 2 screens. Now maybe we have 3 to 4 screens to look after. You know, each time there is a beep, 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 our heart goes, what notification is there? We want to be always on the go. We always want to be connected, you know. A lot of us are feeling like we don't miss, we are always there. And it's part of the world that we live in. It's still very dynamic. The trickle-down effect that we are having, it's part of a dynamic phase that we are in. And stress relief has become really important, and so has products which address stress relief. And that brings on to the element of self-care. You know, maybe you can just take your beauty products. I think a lot of women does this. Take your beauty products and go to your space for a few minutes and just like enjoy like self-caring for yourself. But it's surprising, over the last few months, I've just told men about my skincare regime, and they've like, tell me more about these products. And a lot of us as man, woman, we all are in this industry. So I was just like explaining to them, oh, you could just do your regular cleansing, moisturizing, add your scrubbing once a month, put your retinols if you're going to that age level where, you know, it's all part of prevention. And then I felt like the crowd that we have in the country would do great if we just tell them there's a simple format to follow for you. And a lot of this is like health and wellness as well, because it's all going to the fact that I think a couple of years or a decade ago when we thought about Botox, we were like, okay, it's to remove wrinkles, but now it's coming to a level where we think about it as it's a prevention for the later year. So I think a lot of this statement would summarize into looking young as you age. Of course, you want to embrace your age, but the best version of yourself. This is a theme that has really come out of the pandemic as well. It's more emphasized about. And why cannot prevention be better than cure? If I know the population over here, of course, which has a prevalence of lifestyle diseases, from diabetes to like high blood pressure to having wrinkles on your face, you can all go towards prevention. It's part of like a holistic thing. So definitely that's where it's coming about. And I would include two things very much so, of course, beyond what the business is highlighting or putting in front, listening to consumers, it's also purpose. I think this has come a lot when I have presented over the years over here, is people telling about their story of what they've been through in life, their difficulty and hardship, and how a brand has related to them in a way that they are loyal to it, which was quite surprising. There's so much connectivity that's happening over here, and now businesses are looking into purpose more than ever before. There's also bioscience. We go natural, we go organic, but there is science backing towards as well. There's so many plants and animal-based ingredients that we put in self-care today, and a lot of them is backed up by science. And knowledge, information, science, and technology is getting more and more into this level as well. So these are the health and beauty in sync synopsis. I will go into the key trends further of this. According to some of our surveys that we've done in the last few years, including the present year as well, we see that health and beauty is kind of the new norm to stay for the long term. So maintaining oneself for the long term is an integral part of physical and mental well-being, and beauty and personal care products are important in achieving this self-care goal. I think this is really important to note that self-care could be also your goal. Just having 5-10 minutes of yourself in meditation, a self-care thing could also be included in this, and people are understanding as they're going fast. They just want to stop for a few minutes to be slow. So that's an important part of stress relief as well. This really was interesting to me, is 48% of the respondents in the survey stated that they will be healthier than they are now as a future outlook. And that's really interesting, but because this can stand out for beauty and healthcare players as how do they make sure their products are heard by consumers fulfilling this purpose. And also, according to, so the one above is for the consumer lifestyle survey, which we conduct, and the other one comes from beauty survey, where it's stated that 51% of respondents stated beauty means looking healthy. So I think more and more people are understanding how important both are in sync. So the next few slides, I'm going to chuck it down into 4 sections, which is we all know health and wellness, value creation, innovation and connectivity, and sustainability. So let's move forward. I've got some pretty pictures, charts, and key takeaway. Wellness, along with efficiency, which is bioscience-based products, are a key factor for buying beauty and personal care products. Also, clean and conscious beauty features is becoming more of a standard than a value add-on. So, according to our industry survey that we did, we realized that all across the world, these themes were very much relevant. But what is interesting to see is that it's very much relevant in the Middle East and African market as well. And we see this is going to continue in the next few years as well. So those companies or brands which are, of course, looking at mentioning how health and wellness is what they contribute through their products and services. It could be in a very simple format also. It could be a facial cleanser that highlights you will have clean skin, and it's a product. So it's kind of also featured towards loyalty because your product is suitable to be used for the long run, no matter what your age or your situation is. So things like that are really standing out. So that's something that we see coming out very much in a all across the globe, and even in Middle East and Africa. We have some example over here, a derma cosmetic brand. We must have all heard about Eucerin. We all continue to innovate and form new formation, but they recently came up with patented thiamidol in their product, which helps with making sure the skin from in deep is sorted, and then you have clearer, even toned skin. So what's interesting to note in these derma cosmetic is the use of bioscience continues, but we also see that they are to be there in an effective way, but at the same time also saying that how they can ensure that the skin remains healthy and then even tone of it. So that's one highlight over here. Then moving forward, we also see value creation. Now this is really important because I think we all might be aware in some part of the other, the world or parts of the world is going through recession, while the region isn't. We might have also have had a lot of pocket of information that we hear about the new Prime Minister in UK, what the US and China keep on doing after every few months. That's a lot of information, right? Because that goes through where our products are even coming from, or where our ingredients are being sourced from. What does this mean for us and the world? Where does the government sit in? Where does the global politics sit in? And where does like the consumer and businesses sit in? I think that's a very interesting element of it. And some of the things that we see, global to even local, and I think some of these things we also see in other industries such as food, is shrinkflation. I would like to highlight shrinkflation over here, which means that you keep the product as it is in terms of price, but you kind of like maybe remove a grape from the ingredient. No, just kidding. You just remove you just shrink the size a bit so that the cost is evenly spread. You have to make sure in supply chain or the cost of your ingredients of your whole product is maintained, at the same time making sure the consumer gets its value. So I think this is something that we do. It's so subliminal, like you would not know if 3 ml is missing from a pack, for example, but it would still be there just to make sure that the same thing is supplied in terms of what's happening in the world. But at the same time, we also see incorporation of premium features, beauty advices, good enough to eat products in mass tiers, so towards prestige. We see a wide variety of products that are coming in across all categories, which is for the Gen Zs, the mid-consumer, the rich. Everyone is served over here. And why not push the envelope when the envelope can be pushed? Because to be honest, I think this, I will touch in the next slide, is we all are going towards the 4th industrial revolution, which means tech is here to stay, and this is going to transform much faster, and of course it has started just before pre-pandemic and gone faster during the pandemic, but we see this is the future. We all know NFTs and metaverse. Half of us are still wondering what does this mean, while the other half is like into it already. So we are into the 4th industrial revolution. And how do we ensure we create the same value in every single industry? It's really important. So having chatbots in your on your website, making sure you're digitally connected, this and more in the next few slides. But coming back to value creation, it needs to be in a holistic place. We do see hybrid products like blending skincare, sun care, and color cosmetics, very popular. Multi-sticks are getting a revamp, and then they're here. Why not? Even fragrances, why cannot they be there marketed or communicated for multi-purposes, like for emotional wellness, boosting mood, anti-stress, aromatherapy, sleep, nostalgia, self-care, and feeling good. I mean, home fragrances also is something that really caught up in the last few years. And if you smell, it's a relaxant, if I may say so, but that's a little overboard. But still, these are coming up in research as to be very prominent. And of course, this is a multi-stick. You can use it as a lipstick, a blush for your eyes, etc. So that's another example that we have. So let's go next. Innovation and connectivity, I already told about the fourth industrial revolution, but I think what's really important to see that one of the results that also came in our survey is that a lot of consumers are browsing online, even in store. Like we were standing in stores. Where is this available? What is it going towards? You have the information in your hand even when you're in a mall. So the consumers are increasingly browsing online, visiting a social networking site, and are going towards reviews. There's also gamification, actually, that is happening up quite a bit. So we see, of course, we all know the digital consumer, but what all are the digital consumers are doing? They're not doing one thing, they're doing multiple things. So that's something that's really interesting to note and to observe also. So a range of options that use tech-heavy products and experiences, from skincare analysis to virtual reality try-ons. That's something that's going to remain the norm and going to be more incorporated into it. Gamification, phygital reality, the blending of the offline and the online world, and social shopping and virtual stores for inclusivity and community feel. I think we need to be aware over here that with connectivity, there is also omni-channel experiences that's coming in. The importance of human touch can never be underrated. It will be coexisting. This year I met more robots than I did in any other year. So I made a couple of robotic friends, but at the same time, it was much more nicer when the world opened up and when I connected with people. So I enjoyed my time with robots, but I equally continue to enjoy my life with humans, and I think that's a very important part, because what we are going towards is how to make sure everything blends it in a way that it's responsible, secure, and makes better worth of our time and leads to better products and services for us. An example over here I can give is of Sephora app. It's more about community, I would say, in the sense you get in, you connect with people, you have access to special master classes or like social people. And I think that's where technology is coming in. You can meet a community online, and you can meet them live and face through it. So I think technology is doing, and especially for Gen Zs, I think you can just go. I asked my sister, who's a Gen Z, how do you connect with people? She said, I make them friends online. Like, you know, people are dating and meeting people on Instagram. I'm like, what is this? I don't understand. But it's so interesting to see how the blend in the fourth industrial revolution is turning out to be when it comes to innovation and creativity in products and services as well. So we all need to be aware that it's here to stay, and it could be incorporated in a very easy way, just being present through Instagram, social media, etc., while Elon Musk is doing things with Twitter and Mark Zuckerberg is going on Meta full scope. But yeah, but at the same thing, it's definitely relevant. So for those of you who are on all platforms, but yeah. So sustainability, this is really important and relevant for the next few years. So what Euromonitor did this year is we are launching something very much focused on sustainability. And the reason why I highlight this is because we really did some really interesting surveys and found out some really interesting information. So even in sustainability, we are looking at what consumers want, what people and planet want, where the push is towards for businesses and governments, and it's kind of like being in the sync of a very natural push. So I have a heat map on the left-hand side. So so this is based on the survey results that we got. And what we realize is that which sustainable products is your company planning to develop? And 2022, but even beyond this is very much relevant. So we do see environmentally friendly claims to be very much relevant across all the region, and it's an 84.2% for Middle East and Africa. That's kind of like the highest from that. So it's pretty surprising to see. It's very much relevant over here. And now if a survey, if we are putting it into figures, it shows it so much. I think that's very much relevant for the beauty industry to understand also that it's here and here to stay. Then we also have sustainable packaging claims going forward, and then carbon neutral claims, sustainable sourcing claims, vegan, plant-based, water saving, no artificial or chemical ingredients. I think that's a big one also. Waste claims, animal welfare claims, biodynamic claims, or regenerative farming agriculture claims. So some of these products are available over here, which kind of highlight also, like I came across Chloe Eau de Perfume Naturel, and this is 100% vegan with natural ingredient, naturally sourced alcohol through sustainable farming, etc. And to see that already into the market, that's a start, you know. So it's like an early entry start to more things that's coming into the picture. Also, we observe that there's a growing interest in sustainable ingredient sources, upcycling, purpose-driven brands, and I will just read the up one also. 40% of industry experts report moderate or strong pressure from consumers to act on climate change. I think these factors are really interesting, to be honest, because a couple of years ago, or a decade or two ago, how much would we feel that the consumers are being heard versus let's get the opportunity now, because if you can push the envelope, why not for a better planet and even for people? Why not we all enjoy because we can? Why not, right? Why not? So I think some of these things are really interesting to note, because what the future would be, meaning it will be much more wholesome products, and people might also be okay to pay the right price for it. You know, they see the advantage of it. I think this is a building trend, but what it is going towards is very important, because a lot of the people, especially Gen Zs, they are going towards purpose of supporting what they really trust in or know in for the longer term. And at the same time, it's also making sure the quality of the products remain at a certain level. I heard about the rose farms being conserved or being treated in a way that they will be there for the longer run. I hear about things like making sure they do clean labeling, just to or also in a way this could be helpful in the sense the first time you do something, of course it's costly, but then it becomes economies of scale. So we are going towards where the industry is looking at sustainability and how it could really play into the action the next 5 years. So I think that's something that's really interesting to know, where we stand at now and how it would play in the future as well. So it's a hot burning topic. So now let's look at some case study stories, which I think are really interesting and supports all the trends that I've highlighted also before. So one that I have, Well-Being by Antipod Skincare. It is available, all these brands are available in the country, so they're very much regional focus, but they're also global. Quite a lot of them are also global. So Antipods is scientific green beauty. It's also clean. It's a New Zealand-based brand, but what they advertise or focus towards is having really clean ingredients from parts of New Zealand, which is kind of like untouched by human in the same level as the rest of the world. So New Zealand is anyways an island on the corner, so not touched that much, but yeah, the highlight of it is really interesting because they do use Manuka honey, they use oils, and oils you would find, and of course, you know, this is very interesting. This year when I was part of judging round also, I could see fragrances with oils. Of course, that's the base of it. You have the essence oils, and you could smell it. And even in skincare, you would find it was like so many beautiful smells. And I said, this is really the future is now that we are living in, you know. So, and also Antipods also has lipsticks that they say it's good enough for you to eat. So it's kind of eat safe is what they say, which is really interesting because these things are not the norm, but they're appearing more and more out there. So it's very interesting to see. There's also the second case study I would go to is Self-Care Rituals by Fable and Main. And if you check out their website, it's such a beautiful story. Like you open it and it's a story. Like you just go in and I mean, we all remember once upon a time when we were all read bedtime stories using a book, you know, you would just let your imagination go there or flourish. And then when I see Fable and Main, it kind of takes me into that imagination cycle somewhat. But the real focus is, of course, hair care. So, you know how we associated oils in hair? They're like, oh my God, how sticky, greasy is this? But now we see the industry pushing the envelope because why not? We see oils in format that, you know, you could just use few drops like serum, you can do the leave-ons, you have scalp scrubs. Like your scalp needs also, interestingly, therapy and care because where's your dandruff coming from? Anyways, lifestyle, environmental changes. So there are hair scrubs, there are hair masks, of course the shampoo, conditioner, but you have your oil hybrid ranges that's coming up also. So you can just be like, hey, I need half an hour for myself or 15 minutes of myself and just do this. And you also have hybrid products by Skin Story. I think this is a really interesting example because I saw a lot of the men using the stick, the white one in the middle. It has an SPF, it has moisturizing properties, it's an all-in-one. So people just taking the stick out of the pocket and putting it on their face just for protection, on and hop and off. So that was really an interesting element of hybrid product that's also coming in. So, and it's easy to carry in the pocket, but of course, the pink and the brown shades are, you could use it for contouring, lipstick, blush. So multi-sticks, this is the second example, but it's really coming up, the hybrid products, especially as, you know, concepts of like, able to use things on a daily basis, convenience, so just like hop on, put it on, and run away wherever you want to go, why not? So yeah, also value creation by Sephora Beauty Pass, I think loyalty or rewards program, community, this is part of the community mention over here. The reason I mentioned this in addition to that is because you have an app, but you also always had a rewards program or a loyalty program. And I think that's really interesting is because the brand is showing that, you know, you're being rewarded for being there. At the same time, it's value, further value. You could collect points, you could redeem it, you could get information about the things happening in the industry. So I think the very important part is you have your technology, you have your robots, you have your AI, machine learning, etc. But at the same time, you have your community, you have your human touch, you have your loyalty, you have your rewards. I think you can never replace things like trust, honesty, back to basics, but what you could do is enhance them through tech. So I think with beauty tech, even having recommendations online, doing a short survey, and then the advisor telling you this is your result, but if that's happening, you can go for this. It's a very interesting omni-channel blend, which is continue to remain very relevant. And never forget pharmacies, they're also over here. You have Life Pharmacy, you have Aster Pharmacy. A few years down the line, they were not online, now they're full-blown on, whether it's for health and beauty products. Again, if a lot of you have heard about Life Pharmacy or checked out their app also, you can have vouchers, so the more you shop, the more you get rewarded. It's all about making the seamless experience over here through connectivity as well, having their own clinics, selling beauty products at the site, etc. So making it easy, convenient, on time, seamless, and being present in the Evoke set is something really important, you know. Especially as we have an information overload, it's very important to have clean information out there that's really relevant to you. A lot of innovation happening in oral care by Sensodyne and other brands, even Parodontics. Quite a few natural oral care products also out there. And I think this is a little funny trivia for the day, but I felt a lot of dentists, once the pandemic led to the opening, a lot of dentists look at the mouth of people and they're like, come in 6 months, not 1 year anymore, 6 months. It's like, okay, that means, you know, of course you have products, of course you take care, of course you take all those things into perspective, but yes, our health and wellness trend coexists with lifestyle conditions. We do have a lot of cake out there, still in big amounts, a lot of these sugary things. Even when you don't want to consume sugar, you end up buying a coffee or something. Even if you opt for that coconut milk, which is supposed to be the healthier version, that might be the sweetened coconut milk, like somehow it seeps in, you know. So long story short, innovation across industries, even in oral care, is very much relevant. We do see Sensodyne coming up with Nova Men, which basically helps to make your enamel stronger in this using some technology. It's a very simple thing. I think it was calcium or something like that, so it just makes that layer. So nothing super sciencey, scary, alienish, but very much science technology based over here. And even I also observed Parodontics having their mouthwash, which is a foamier one with some specific ingredients that covers your whole region of the mouth. So how the dentist used to be like, make sure you get the tooth at the back. So this kind of helps to cover that up. So innovation in all industries, including oral care, also is something that we see. I just have a couple of more examples, and I think we still have 15 minutes, so we're good on time. A couple of us might also heard about conscious self-love, inclusive skincare, Peaceful by Salama. And this is a UE-based brand, and she really talks about, through her campaigns, about taking good care of your skin and being confident in it. And yeah, things like that. We also have hybrid toners by Fendi Skin. You have your toner, which is like in a serum format. It's multi-purpose as well. And then she just makes the whole process of it like clean tone, moisturize, basic, and then add-ons if you want to as well. Let's never forget men in this. We need to make sure all sectors, all genders, everything is covered. So simplifying self-care for men's grooming by Bulldog. Also, this is very much, you know, over here available. But I think Fendi Skin and Bulldog, Fendi Skin for all genders, and then even men's grooming for Bulldog. I mean, I even tried this on my skin, so it's fine. So, but you know, these products really simplify regime. Like, even if you don't have time, you can spend 5 minutes to cleanse, tone, moisturize, and you really understand the difference that the beauty industry makes in your health and life. And I think that's a big story out over here. So it could be just 5 minutes of your life. I know a guy who puts a timer to have his skincare routine, and this would take, like, yeah, but that's good to know also that these things are real. It's happening, you know. These stories are consumers that's around us. So yeah, and hair care routines. I think being a regional girl, we all know about the things that we go through. So don't despair, repair. Why not make it fun? So this is another, it's more of a prestige hair care. But yeah, it looks at it like making sure your scalp is healthy through scalp scrubbing and masking it. So I think that's really hopeful for those people. Like, what do I do? You know, I have this event coming up and it's all despair. So yeah, so I think communicating with your consumer in simple ways could also take you somewhere. So why not make it fun? So yeah, those were stories, fable and main and beyond, but I'm almost close to the end, and I think we all might have understood the key takeaways, but I'm going to just summarize it for you now as well. Focus on health and safety will continue to foster demand for clinical science-backed beauty, and conscious beauty to be more prevalent among the Gen Zs, but it's definitely here to stay. And I think that's really important to understand that health and safety element will play in beauty and personal care products, because even personal care products is making sure that you're clean, well-groomed, etc. So this is a big factor and a big industry, and it's going to continue to remain very much relevant. Also, fourth industrial revolution over here, Meta, NFT, beauty tech, all going to also be in sync. And it's all there to make our lives much more efficient but real at the same time. Better products suited to us, element of personalization, customization also through beauty tech. Blending physical reality, we're connecting people, but at the same time meeting some robots, but I guess you know what I mean. Demand for product and price hybridity in beauty and personal care continue to grow. It could be part of a very holistic value creation where you are using one product for multiple purposes, but you're also using on a much more regular basis, especially when you don't have time, you're on the go, but also for multiple purpose, but it makes sure that you're there in for the long run to take care of yourself overall. And yeah, I think we're going to be stressed out for a little bit, but no worries, there's always a lot of products and services to help. But high levels of stress would lead to demand for emotional wellness, tapping into beauty's role in providing comfort, indulgence, and sustainability is here to stay, people and planet play to remain important. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation. It will be uploaded soon, but you can connect with me or just like use a QR code, beauty and tech together. So yeah, but I will be hanging out over here at the venue for some time, and I have also my colleagues over here. So if you have any questions, I think we still have some time to take questions. Yeah, so I've got my go ahead. So if any questions, so yeah. Yes. Yeah, sure. Yes.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you. That was very insightful. A question I have is about the origin of the skincare products.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that the Middle East and Africa is the fastest growing market when it comes to skincare consumption, I'm assuming. What about production and manufacturing? And do clients care where it comes from? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yes. So I would say there is a lot of change happening, but if you say that we are still at the early stages of change. So what you highlight is very important because it defines where we are going towards in the forecast period, which could stretch from 5 years to 10 years. But I'll give you some example. For example, GSK, which is Panadol basically, but also has oral care, Sensodyne or other products, basically split their company into two. So now there's Haleon for consumer health products, which includes beauty products as well, beauty, personal grooming, healthcare. And then you have your GSK usual. So it's into two. Why is it into two? Because one is on illness and the other one is on prevention. And then when you look at the manufacturing part of it, they recently opened a plant in KSA for local production. And when you think about sourcing also, it's something that, you know, because you, as company, always there needs to be an economy of scale as well. But it's a thing that has opened up where they are looking at it now, because a lot of the companies are required to generate sustainability reports. They're supposed to tell their plan in the next 10, 20, 30 years of where they're going to be. And even in Expo, there was the UN goals. So there is a push, there is a trend. So where we are standing out is a very early step, but it's a step towards the right direction. So we're going to see more of this coming up, but the process has already started. So I hope this answers your question. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, there is one at the back.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much. In one of your first few slides, I saw that there's a sun care category which is not...
Do you want to go on to this? Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's one of the least growing categories. So I would like to know, is it that sunscare is not a category where there's not much focus, or is it because it's merging more with skincare, like you mentioned, multi-purpose or multifunctional products? So, do you have any comment on what's
Yeah.
happening in that category?
Yeah, very good point. Because I would say if you would look at sun care in a way where you combine all the products with SPF, again, as you mentioned, right? So this is pure sun care, what we had according to a definition. But in reality, if you would compare all products with SPF, then there is a lot of growth in it. And I think a lot of the products are going into that hybrid version because sun care is so important. Like each cosmetic, foundation, cream, skincare, you pick up, it has SPF, whether it's 15, 30, 50, etc. Definitely very important. All the doctors, dermatologists, like, put your SPF, put your SPF. At the same time, get your vitamin D, get your vitamin D. Definitely it's important and it's growing, but this one is looked at a very category viewpoint, so yeah. Anyone else? Okay, we have one over here. Yeah.
Thank you, Amna, for that really enlightening session. It was very, very fruitful. So my question is regarding the latest trends and the new generation, what their demands are, right? So we were looking at Gen Z and millennials and what they really need. In the past 5 years, we've seen a exponential growth when it comes to beauty clinics and derma technologies, which have like people moving more towards chemical peels and hydrofacials and more invasive kind of technologies also in some way or the other. So on one tangent, you have people who are like very, very impatient, where you want to be your skin to be ready by tomorrow to have it that perfect flawless skin.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, we're talking about vegan, sustainable, organic, which takes its own time, of course, and actually gives you the results. So what do you think, where do we stand at the moment, and on which tangent are we more inclined towards? And in most of your research that you've shown, where does the element of the medical side of beauty come into play?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great study to be done in depth further, but I will just touch the surface of it. That's why I mentioned the element of sync, because you do have a little bit of polarization happening. You have your Gen Zs, and then you also have your rich millennials. Of course, you need time and money. Those factor minutes, money are your sources in life, but you cannot never forget love. But coming back to the topic, I think what's really importantly happening over here is the sync of both. So what's happening, of course, I think I had this conversation with a work colleague of mine, and he's also today over here, where there was this mention where he mentioned that you're like, either you go and get your peel now, you have your 3 months result in like one sitting after a week, or you use your skin product for 6 months, you would get the similar result as well. So what to do in life, kind of a beauty dilemma. But I think it's very important to notice the sync over here, in the sense you might go for that medical element of getting those services done, but at the same time, the maintenance, because nothing lasts for long. Even if you go for liposuction for your weight reduction, the doctor will say you have to eat healthy to maintain that, or it'll come back. It's the same thing with beauty as well, where you're having your facial, your derma, whatever it is, your Botox, but then you are having a regime of a treatment, and then you're maintaining it with supplementary products. So I think this sync is very much important, and that's something that's happening and will continue to happen. And of course, we look at the more medical side, which I did not put because that's a whole big, that will take another 1 hour, I guess, of my life over here, but why not? But that's a very interesting topic that I also touched upon separately, and usually at my daily work routine also, because I cover beauty, health, and fashion. And what we see is this kind of direction and growth that we have is very dynamic, but very relevant in now. And what we see that there will be a sync. So even if beauty products satisfy that market and the other way, it's complementary. So it's really beneficial in that way. I hope that answers your question as well. So I know we are running out of time, but one more we can take. Yeah, we have lady over here. Yeah, it's fine.
Hi, good afternoon. I wanted your comment or your you to talk a bit about supplements for beauty. Is that is a big thing now, like collagen powders or, IV drips?
Yes.
And how does that play in the products?
Yeah.
How does that tie into the products? Is that something that we can see coming up more, or is that something that we can see that will like slowly die down?
So, very interesting question as well. I'll take a different view over here in the center. But this is very important, I would say, to notice that it's going to not really die down, but also complementary and sink in. The reason why I'm saying, again, this would be another presentation from me, because I love also covering that element of it. We have some products. One is known Goli, Goli, if you might have heard of it. Yeah, right? And then you would know the products also that's in it. And then you also have like super greens, and you have your powders, etc. And this is what we cover on a different level as well. But what we are seeing is people are looking at health in a holistic way. You can put all the creams in your world, but if you are vitamin D deficient, then you're vitamin D deficient. If you're not having all your greens and you're just putting it on your face, that's also so it's very important. And for people who are just popping up greens through a pill also, I mean, this is a generation thing also. But I think these products are really important for that holistic health and well-being. And it's going to work in sync, where you will see all coexisting in a retailer, online, offline, and it's going to make a very important part of the industry. So fortunately, nothing is dying down, but a lot of dynamic and innovation is what we're going to see in the next few years. So yeah, okay. Now the organizers will tell me if I could take another question, but I think we should be good. I am sticking around for a while also. So yeah, do connect. The information is out over here. I've got a bunch of my colleagues also over here. But I hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of the day on the first day of Beautyworld. And yeah, see some of you guys around. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. That's my announcement.